Hello, welcome to Solo Atheon. I have gotten 10 billion questions from people regarding mechanics and stuff, and I figured that it would be nice if I just had one big video to kind of cover and explain exactly how does Solo Atheon work, how do you do these things, what do you need in the loadouts, and that kind of thing. Before we get started, there are a few things to discuss about like the solo itself, which are this is not super console friendly. And the reason I say this is because part of Solo Atheon involves doing a manual ground skate with the relic. You have to ground skate while picking up the relic and leave the portal over there, which on console you have to do manually. On PC, there is a macro you can get from the Destiny 2 Solo Raids Discord. You just push one button and it does all of the stuff for you. You just have to aim and move. There is RNG involved. Every single phase of Atheon that you do, a 50-50 chance that you will be able to actually leave the portal at the end of doing the mechanics and be able to get to damage. And also, you need a specific kind of finisher for this. Ideally, you use this one, the Swing of the Scythe. If you don't have it and you are interested in doing Solo Atheon, I would recommend just going to the vendor in the tower that they just added and getting the Season of the Haunted pass. You can use the currency to then get the Swing of the Scythe or claim it if you already had the pass before. Whatever. But this is just by far the most consistent one. There are some other finishers that you can use, but if you want to do Solo Atheon, honestly, at this point, I would not waste your time with another finisher that may or may not work as well. Just get the Scythe one. The class that you want to do Solo Atheon on for the most consistent best time is Warlock. I will not be acknowledging the other classes in this video at all. This is purely Warlock video. Most of what I say should apply to Hunter and Titan as far as doing mechanics. It is just that getting out of the portal on those classes is a bit more difficult than on Warlock by varying degrees. And Warlock also has the safest damage because you have the Well of Radiance super to just sit in and it heals you. So the first part of the solo involves we are going to finisher a Harpy as Atheon teleports us so that we do not get lost in time. And the reason that you do this is because normally if you get teleported and you go inside the portal, if there's no one out here, then the game thinks that you are going to wipe and it just kills you. If it's your first time looting the instance, you might want to stand here so that way the Harpies notice you and then they actually float down from this platform here. On repeat runs of the instance, you can kind of just hide down here and wait for them to come down. It doesn't really matter. Alright, so I did the finisher correctly, which means I am not lost in time. So I'm going to let the game wipe me real quick, and we're going to go over exactly what did I just do. There, you notice I got a kill on a Harpy to give my bow Hail Barrage. This is important because once you're inside, you need the Stasis Crystal from the bow to push the relic behind you. If you don't have that, then when you drop the relic, it will drop in front of you, and you will not be able to shoot the oracles. Now I have this thing. I'm just going to punch these guys. One punch will leave them at finisher level. I froze that guy so that he is staying on the plate, so he doesn't move anywhere. Because when you do the finisher, if your character is not on the plate, then what will happen is the portal will not turn on. So since there's like a second here before Atheon does the teleport, I pop a rift to stay alive. I freeze this guy again, get another crystal from that dude since I used it, and then we wait until pretty late into the screen going white to actually do the finisher itself. If you wait too long, you're going to bring the Harpy with you, which is what you don't want. If you do it too early, then you will not have enough time when you're inside to actually get your character to the correct spot that you need to be in. to do the mechanics from there. So you kind of have to find the sweet spot. The best way that I can recommend to practice the timing is pay attention to those signs, like, you know, if you did it too late, then you bring the enemy in with you when you do the finisher, so you should press the finisher sooner next time. If you do it too early, what you're going to see is your character actually doing the finisher animation in the throne room, and then you get teleported. Here, what happened is I pressed the finisher, and immediately I'm in here. You don't even see my character doing the finisher animation. I'm just immediately in the planet. And then I immediately have the relic in my hands because I was holding interact as soon as I did the finisher. And then you sprint forward and jump and swing. This is not the ideal spot to be in. We'll talk more about like positioning yourself in a minute. But you'll notice that after I dropped the relic, I like swung the relic and dropped it immediately. Notice how I can just stand here freely, and I'm not lost in time. As long as I don't move, I will never get lost in time, because I did the finisher correctly, so that means I've created the player clone on the portal, as you should. Now we're going to do the finisher again, but this time I'm going to try to, one, position myself a little better because that was kind of an awkward position. And then two, I'm going to show you guys an interesting tech with this emote. So this is an emote from Season of the Lost, I believe. It came from the Season 15 Season Pass. So I'm going to kill this harpy there, get a stasis crystal, and then pop that emote into this pillar. There are some other emotes that kind of do this where you like sit back and your character goes into the pillar, but as long as your head is in the pillar and obscured, what's going to happen is these harpies are going to float down and they're just going to kind of chill in their default spots. They're not going to shoot you or anything, and you can just wait. Alright, so we're in, kill the gatekeeper, pick the relic back up after you shoot your crystal at the ground, and then we're going to stand here for a minute. If we did it right, you see that text there, a Vex time gate is active, cleanse yourself a little bit, oracles are up. It seems like this is going by too fast. Don't worry, we're going to break it down in a second. Alright, 2 sets down, switch to your second loadout. Alright, that was far mid, close mid. We're going to hold on to this for a second. Let's back up to make sure you don't die or anything. And that is solo Atheon. Alright, so I know I kind of did a lot of steps at once, but this kind of happens fast once you actually get in the portal and set everything up properly. So now let's break everything down step by step. When you do it this way, with the emoting in the pillar, you're going to see the text, Atheon sends forth the supplicants. That's your cue to kind of start. So, I kind of heard him do the thing, I saw the text. Punch this guy, and then we're going to wait until the screen is like mostly white. The guide, like the actual written guide in the server, says it's about 3/4 of the way through, but that's kind of hard to gauge in your head. So just try to follow the timing pretty closely from like a video or from feeling once you've gotten it down a few times. But yeah, I hit that finisher, and then literally as soon as I hit the finisher, already inside. And then, yeah, look at that. Relic is in my hands within like a few frames of me being inside. Because I was holding sprint and forward and interact with the relic. Now notice, I'm kind of looking towards the left, like my character spawned in looking to the left. It's a little hard to see because of all the VFX. But what you want to do is, as soon as you're in, orient yourself so that when you swing, your swing should send you as far forward and centered between those two pillars over here. Alright. We'll go back and look at that one more time in real time. Some other things to note are basically, like, the second that you press jump, you should swing. You do not want to do a full jump and then swing because more than likely you will spend too long in the air and then just immediately die. It's like, if you go through here, you can barely even see me swing or, like, jump. You can barely even see the jump happening. But as soon as the jump happens, the swing happens. As soon as you swing, like, immediately just switch to another weapon and it'll drop the shield. Dropping the shield behind you kind of conserves your momentum from the swing, so you actually go a little further forward. Other nice thing is you can just throw the grenade at the gatekeeper right from here. You don't have to worry about doing him after the first set or any of the weird business if you just hold on to the shield. We are right here. I'm going to throw my grenade at the gatekeeper. Let me mute because I was talking over it. And then we're going to shoot a crystal. If you're curious, how do you shoot the crystal? Oh, we went too far back. If you're wondering how do you shoot the crystal, like is there a specific way to shoot it? Not really. You kind of just hip fire it down. Just make sure that it's decently close to your body, but aim a little far forward from your foot. So my foot is like about there, I think, and then my crosshair is there. You don't have to think of it that precisely, but just make sure that you don't shoot your foot with the bow, otherwise you will lose your crystal, and at this moment in the encounter, there is absolutely no way for you to get that crystal back. So crystal is down, it's like on my body, and now I'm just holding the shield in my hand and standing in a crystal. And we're just waiting for the oracles to spawn. Because I did the finisher correctly, we see this text here, a Vex time gate is active. And then we are good to go. So before those oracles spawn, I'm just cleansing with the shield. Then I'm going to drop the shield and shoot this crystal. It's important that you shoot the crystal with the bow and you don't punch it, because like doing an unpowered melee punch on the crystal will sometimes like make your feet shuffle, and if that happens then you will get lost in time because your player moved. With regards to the oracles, you want to shoot a close one with the rocket, and then you want to shoot a far one with the bow. Or with the grenade launcher, excuse me. So, start with whichever one you're going to shoot the rocket at. That's this close one. And then you're going to shoot one with your bow to get it ready so that the second shot actually breaks the oracle. And then you're going to shoot your far one with the grenade launcher. You can use a rocket sidearm for this, but depending on where your character ended up, there might be an oracle behind this big rock that you can't see. And so what you can do with the grenade launcher is the grenade launcher shot will go over the rock and you can still hit that far oracle as long as you line it up correctly. But the rocket sidearm, you are just screwed. So I highly recommend just getting a lightweight, like single shot grenade launcher like this. And we'll talk more about loadouts in a minute. But I'm lined up. And then that is all three broken. Very quickly, I wanted to address two specific sets of oracles. Most sets of oracles, you'll have some far and some close. but there are a couple of sets that are a little bit different, and those are triple far, all of them are far away, and triple close. So first we're going to look at triple far. So if you're doing the same order as I do, which is shoot one with the rocket first, and then the bow, and then the GL and the bow again. So they're all far away. So you shoot one with the rocket, shoot one with the bow, and then notice how I just got damage numbers on that one that I shot with the rocket. So I'm going to sit here and wait for a second before I shoot this GL. Normally there's not as much delay because the rocket doesn't have to travel as far to the Oracle if you're shooting a close one, but on this one you kind of have to wait a second. And then I wait and shoot, and then they are all broken. Triple close is a little bit different because they are all close. So I'm going to shoot this one with the rocket, shoot that one with the bow. And then this one I have to wait longer because the end happens a little faster. And then notice it's a little bit generous on the timing there. So I shot this one with the GL, and then the left and right one break kind of at the same time, and then the middle one, I'm like a little bit, like, it's not simultaneous, but the game still accepts it, so it's fine. You do not have to shoot you do not have to have all three explode simultaneously. There's like maybe less than a second of grace period, but you could hear like pop, 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 like really fast, and it would still count. It doesn't just have to be like all of them break at the same time. So don't worry about the timing being like super precise. It is very generous. Now, I've picked up the shield again, and what I'm going to do is I have this reticle turned pretty far up and to the right of my character. Well, to the right of my character. I'm going to cleanse a little bit to clean up the screen. And you want to be careful not to turn too far to the right here, because otherwise your feet will move, like your character will physically rotate, and that will also kill you. But if you have this decently far to the right, then what happens is the shield is going to drop at an angle to you. And so now it's not covering the entire front of your screen, it's at more of an angle. And so what that allows you to do is crouch down and shoot under this wide open space that you have from this side of the shield. And then now you just want to get a stasis crystal. Ideally, you get one from the left side group of goblins, but it's fine if you get it from the right side group of goblins. What happens is whatever side that you kill the goblin on with the bow, the next time goblin waves spawn after you break this set of oracles, it's going to spawn in a goblin to fill in the one that's missing. So here, because I killed this goblin from the right side, you'll see when I go to leave the portal, it spawns a goblin there. It's fine if he's there, but it's more ideal for him to be on the left instead, because then there's nothing to potentially block you when you're leaving. So I'm going to cleanse, break this thing. This oracle arrangement is a little bit different than the other one. We're just going to shoot that one since it's close with the rocket. Shoot that with the bow. And then GL, bow, they're all broken. Now I have this second loadout here. So the way this works is, let me go back a little bit. So as soon as I broke the third oracle, like the second I broke it, I open the menu, and then I go click on this loadout that has my eager sword. As soon as you click on that loadout, hold the cleanse button. You want to hold the cleanse button as you are coming out of your menu, because then you will immediately cleanse with as little time loss as possible. Then I switch to a non-eager sword weapon, immediately switch to my eager sword. You cannot switch straight to the sword, otherwise you don't get eager edge for some reason. And then you would do the ground skate. Obviously on PC it's a macro, so you press one button and it does the whole thing for you. Notice how mid-course I Icarus dash here to kind of angle myself towards the portal a little better. If we go back to before I do the skate, you'll notice that I can't really hit a straight line from this spot because this rock is in the way. So what happens is I go past the rock, and once I'm past it, I Icarus dash to the right to kind of line myself up a little bit better with the portal. When you get close to the portal, what I like to do is pull my sword out. You see that I pull my sword out here in the relic drops, and I just kind of swing with the sword into the portal to slow myself down. Because you're going to be going through it pretty fast otherwise, and sometimes it'll spit you back inside the planet, which is pretty bad. So the sword will slow you down. And then I'm now in here holding the sword, and now it's time to read this last wave of relics. So I just jump float up here, and then I see the first one had already spawned. It was far mid. This one just spawned. It's close mid. I was able to hear it. And then the third one doesn't really matter at this point because we know the first two, obviously. But if you hear the sound cue here and you like actually see that there's no other oracles here, you know it's far left because that's the one that you can't really see from like this spot about here. Now because I'm using like verities and grapples to do my damage, I kind of take a second here before it's time to shoot the oracles and just get some death throws off of that harpy. I walk back inside and pick up this shield, and what that does is we are resetting the timer on the shield so that it doesn't despawn while we're doing the oracles. And then I use that opportunity to also walk a little bit closer to this portal so that the shield isn't super far from the portal. I can just kind of pick it up and immediately go inside after the third oracle. So we walk back in here, wait a second so that you don't like go in and out too fast and then the game thinks that you're lost in time. You shoot one oracle, two oracles. For safety, we back out. If you're fast, you can do all three in one trip and pick up the relic and leave. It's safer to just do two, back out for a second, and then do the third one. You're not really in a rush. And then because I have verities on this loadout, and I have like solar grenade on, I'm using an aberrant here to get my oracle kills. And then that's giving me death throws so I can walk into damage phase with my death throws already stacked up. Shoot this last oracle. As soon as you shoot it, pick up the relic. And then just run through here. And now because your teleport destabilized, because we walked through the portal while holding the relic, you can just Icarus dash back through there to like walk straight to damage basically. At this point, I switch to this third loadout. It just has tractor cannon on it, nothing crazy. I pop my well. And then now I can grapple the boss. I do this first grapple, and then we're going to wait a second and pick up this shield so that Atheon doesn't detain us. As long as you are holding the shield, when that pop right there happens, you're good. Because grapple kind of has an animation and it takes a second, here it was safer for me to just do one grapple and then hold the shield for a few seconds. Obviously one grapple does a lot of his damage, so we can be kind of chill with our time. It's being a little finicky. On this loadout, I don't even have a gun to refresh death throws mid-damage because we're doing so much damage that you don't really need it. And then we grapple him again, and then Time's Vengeance gives us another grenade, so you can grapple him again. If you're ever desperate on health, you can back up to your well. Normally, Atheon is standing... Normally, Atheon stands there when DPS starts. For some reason, he was just kind of over here. But what you can do is you can put your well about in the center of the arena, and Atheon will kind of stomp and hang around you while the damage phase is happening, so he's not really going to go anywhere, and more than likely you can just be in the well while you're doing your grapples if you're doing your damage like this, so it's pretty safe. So, one grapple, pick this up because he's going to do the detain, and then you saw I dropped it like really fast, like literally as soon as that thing, like he does it, you can just let go. And then I reapply tractor just because. And then see, I ended damage phase with like 1 stack of death rows. You really don't need to refresh it as long as you walk in with max stacks. But you can if you want to. What are some other things that we need to know? So just to review, and all of these loadouts that I'm using for this video are going to be in the description. But for this first phase of mechanics, you just need Verglas Curve. You can buy it from the tower vendor. Any preferably lightweight frame grenade launcher like this that has autoloading on it. No other perks matter, you just want autoloading. This mod is nice. Don't use proximity grenades, use literally anything else. And like stats don't matter. And then any rocket launcher with lasting impression and preferably auto-loading holster. You don't need auto-loading holster for this either, but like the more stuff that you don't have auto-loading holster on, the more time that you spend inside reloading your guns, and that can make doing some mechanics a little awkward. I would just try and get auto-loading and lasting impression. I use this rocket launcher. If you don't have this one, another one that I can recommend is the Palmyra B from Witch Queen. That has auto-loading and lasting impression. And the reason I say this one is because that is also a precision frame rocket. And with precision frame rockets, what you can do is aim at an oracle and it will actually track onto the oracle. So if the close left oracle is like just out of sight, but you can kind of lock onto it with your rocket, you can lock onto it and then drag your reticle away from it, and you will still be able to hit the rocket, or hit that oracle with the rocket with the tracking. And then your second loadout, you just need Eager and Verity Helmet. Third loadout, it just has Tractor. And whatever loadout you do your damage on, if you're doing grapple or if you're doing solar fusion grenades, just crank this thing up as much as you possibly can. No other stat really matters for damage. Let's say that you want to be able to have special ammo in your first slot for damage, or you just need a little more special ammo for some reason. I'm going to show you how you can set yourself up for and do a special finisher using Empowered Finish, Stacks on Stacks, Melee Kickstart to keep your charges, and a Reaper mod. So, special finisher. The other thing that I will show you is a crouching tech that you can do with the relic to kind of drop it off to one side in case the like turning your head to the right is getting you killed. One thing at a time though. Stand here, finisher this guy. Pop a rift. Now we've got 4 armor charges, and we've got a stasis crystal. And we're good. Now we're in Mars, and we've got 4 armor charges. The one extra is like if you need a font for extra grenade stat or something in damage. Alright, so we're going to look slightly to the right this time. Cleanse, and then now we've booped the relic over. Alright, so let's break down what exactly we did there again, just to show you real quick. So, punch this guy, finisher, pop the class ability, kill this dude, and he dropped an orb. Now we've got this guy who's right there, we freeze him, and then we spend the rest of the time before the damage phase just kind of keeping him perma-frozen on the plate. So you can hip fire extra freeze shots at him to keep him frozen. You just want to make sure that you always have a crystal when you do the finisher. We're going to skip past the first wave of oracles here. Alright, so what is this crouch tech that I'm talking about? So last time what we did to be able to shoot the goblin was we just looked way over to the right. Or not way over, but like we looked a decent ways over to the right. And then we just dropped the relic, crouched, and shot underneath of it. Well, this time we're going to do something a little different to move the relic so that we can shoot. What's going to happen is I am now crouched. I'm going to cleanse real quick so that my screen isn't pitch black. And then once we're done with that, what I'm going to do is uncrouch and pull my weapon out at the same time. So uncrouch and drop the relic at the same time, after having looked a little bit to the right. You don't have to look as far over to do this as the other way, but just turn a bit to the right, kind of like how I am here. Uncrouch and drop this, and then look at that, the relic just booped over to the right. If you turn it a little further to the right, it can drop a little further to the right, but it doesn't really need to be terribly far, because as you can see here, I'm crouched under the relic and I can kind of shoot wherever now. So my sightline on the left isn't the best here. There's like that dude, I could shoot his arm, but we're just going to shoot one of these guys. And then, boom, I've got a crystal back and we're good. Let's skip ahead to me leaving. So this loadout that I used to skate out of the portal also has the special finisher and adjacent mods on it. Swing through. I read real quick. It's far right, close right. And then, since this guy up here on the ledge is an orange bar, one rocket sidearm shot doesn't quite kill him. If your rocket sidearm shot is killing him, you probably just have too much weapon stat. Mine kind of leaves him low, so that's like barely enough, but I do the finisher. I still have an armor charge, and my damage loadout has Radiant Light, so if I pop Radiant Light, I'll get more armor charges back, and then that gives me like Grenade Font, since my stat might be low or something. And then there's a special brick, and now I've got special ammo in my first slot, so if you were using Navigator or something for some reason, or some other gun that needed special ammo to do this, that is how you do it. Yeah, that's just about it. That is Solo Atheon Warlock, just general mechanics guide. Should work through pretty much all seasons. Damage can kind of change through the seasons. So for whatever season that you're doing it in, you may need to check on like an up-to-date clear to see if the damage is still grapple or if it's something else. But the mechanics portion will probably never change until some very significant advancing tech is discovered, at which point this video will be outdated. But hopefully this helps some of you guys. I know I've been getting a lot of Solo Atheon questions. If you do have more questions, I would highly recommend joining the Destiny 2 Solo Raids Discord. I'll link that in the description. They have a full Atheon written guide there. There are plenty of video clears for Atheon that you can search there. That should be more recent. There's a whole channel called VOG Discussion where we talk about Vault of Glass. You can ask questions there. You can put questions in the questions thread for Vault of Glass. And I or somebody else who will, can look at whatever questions that you have or clips that you send of trying to do this and point you in the right direction. You can also message me over Discord directly. That's perfectly fine. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed this guide, let me know. I kind of enjoy making guide content, so if you like it, I will certainly make more stuff like this in the future. If you have ideas for stuff that you think I should like look into or cover, then let me know in the comments. I appreciate you guys watching. Hope you have a great day. Peace.